Let's move on. He is no longer confident and strong enough to dictate to the whole world what to do. American sociologists are puzzled. Donald Trump's approval rating has plummeted. And it's not just the overall level of approval of his actions by the country's citizens, but also the support for those initiatives of the U.S. president that brought him victory in the elections. What happened to the numbers? How could this change Trump's policies? Our special correspondent in the USA, Dmytro Onopchenko, looked into it.
Donald Trump is going through the worst period since his return to the White House. His ratings have collapsed, especially when it comes to American support for the key points of his policy, migration and the economy. The midterm elections for Congress are coming up, where the Republicans risk losing control of the lower house. So what went wrong? The immigration raids in Minneapolis, which Trump's team deliberately planned to carry out as loudly as possible, among other reasons, to drown out other scandals, unexpectedly produced the exact opposite result from what they intended. They mobilized Trump's opponents and made those who supported him seriously reconsider.
Americans see everything. Senseless, unnecessary, brutal killings. First, Renee Goodman, a U.S. citizen who posed no threat whatsoever to the officers' lives. And then Alex Pretty. An even more outrageous situation. He had a gun, which was his right. He never drew it, he did not threaten the officers. But they sprayed him with pepper spray, threw him to the ground and fired 10 bullets into this poor victim.
Professor Lichtman, the United States' top-ranked sociologist and the most highly distinguished predictor of election outcomes. He has his own system, which very rarely fails. He is usually outside of politics. He speaks the language of numbers, not political slogans. But he says, how can you remain apolitical, stay on the sidelines when the current administration is tanking its own ratings? After all, instead of immediately calming things down, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, openly lied. She claimed that Pretty was a terrorist waving a weapon, threatening agents, but the video disproved everything. And then, the New York Times found that in 16 cases where Immigration Service agents opened fire, they observed the exact same pattern every single time.
No matter what the circumstances were, the report stated that the victim posed a threat to the Immigration Service agents and that they were defending themselves. But in court, all of this falls apart. The truth is, immigration officers could shoot a group of nuns praying in a church, and their leadership would still say the same thing on the news. They'd say the nuns were terrorists and the officers were defending themselves.
And Trump understood this. He abruptly changed his rhetoric, stopped calling the deceased a terrorist, started talking about de-escalation, and replaced those in charge of the operation. But this isn't a change of course, it's just an attempt to put out a political fire.
Trump realized that an urgent political maneuver was needed to soften his statements and not repeat blatant lies that are easy to debunk. But this is just a cover-up to minimize political damage.
And they are clearly tangible. Trump's approval rating on immigration, his signature issue, has dropped significantly to only 39%. This is not just a problem, it is a very big problem.
People see with their own eyes how wrong what the government is doing now is. And it didn't just cause the ratings to drop. This is already in itself a catastrophe.
Which is made even worse by the fact that Trump's second trump card, the economy, also didn't work out.
Immigration is not the #1 issue for Americans. Yes, it is important for Trump's core electorate. But the most important thing for the whole country is financial matters. And in this regard, he has sunk even deeper underwater.
The current political situation wouldn't be so serious if it weren't for the upcoming midterm elections to Congress this year, where the Republicans are facing a significant threat because even Trump's most loyal and dedicated supporters might not vote for his fellow party members.
Trump himself won't be on the ballots, and he himself has admitted that the party can't win unless his own personal fate is at stake. That's why many Republicans who are running for office this year have warned the president. His immigration offensive is a threat to the upcoming parliamentary elections. But he doesn't listen.
On top of that, there's also a historical pattern working against his team. In the States, the ruling party usually loses the midterm elections, and so do the Republicans. Now, they're in a situation where they can't escape from Trump, can't distance themselves, but the drastic moves he's making are rocking the boat too much for them to survive this political storm.
This is one of the laws of politics. Lichtman. I formulated many of them. You can't escape the mistakes of your own president. Try to distance yourself from Trump. It doesn't work that way with him. He sucks all the oxygen out of the room. And essentially the midterm elections are a referendum on the effectiveness of the White House.
And losing during this referendum? It also means losing the third most powerful person in the country, Speaker Johnson. And it gives Democrats the opportunity to block Trump's policies in Congress, and even the possibility of another impeachment if the Democrats dare to go for it again. The risks are enormous. Yes, they can still be avoided, but to do so, you have to curb your own ambitions. But there's little chance of that.
The only way to make a truly major breakthrough and manage to significantly improve the economy, and halt the immigration raids before the elections. Want to rehabilitate yourself? You need to focus on domestic issues. But
for Trump, who one moment is thinking about Greenland, then is obsessed with Maduro, then is planning to bomb Iran, it's not easy. Even understanding all the challenges shown by the polling numbers. From Washington, Dmytro Anepchenko, Serhiy Koval. The American Bureau of Inter-TV channel United Marathon.